You're listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show, where wealth is empowering, purpose is crucial, and high vibes are non-negotiable. And now, here's your host, certified business coach and practical woo strategist, Sara J Loureiro.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Uplevel Your Online Business Show with me, Sara, certified business coach for coaches and service-based entrepreneurs who want to get fully booked with clients, hit six figures, and truly live a freedom-based life. So in this episode, I thought it would be really helpful to talk to you about one of my key pillars for growing your business and really hitting six figures and beyond. And I don't think that this is talked about enough in online spaces. And I know that this is one thing that I personally see a lot of my clients struggling with when they first start working with me. A lot of them don't even have a lead generation system in place. They don't really have any way where they're going to be finding new clients. And this is especially important if you are traversing towards multiple six figures and even seven figures in your business. And I remember just a few months ago in my business when I was strategizing with my team, one of the biggest questions that I now ask myself periodically is, how do I want to grow? How do I want to grow my business? I know how I could grow my business, but how do I want to grow it? And I think I've reached a point in my business where I know my programs that convert really well. I know my programs that are really popular with my community. I know who usually ends up working with me one-to-one, who ends up working with me in my group programs and my self-guided programs. And so all of that I kind of already have mapped out. For me and my business right now, it's more about, well, how do I want to grow? Because I've tried so many different lead generation strategies. I've worked with teams on this. I've worked with coaches on this. I've invested, tens of thousands of dollars working with coaches who have showed me their methods. And it truly is not one size fits all. And I think that that's so important for everyone who's listening to this to understand that if you feel like there's someone out there who's being like, this is the only way to do it, like Facebook ads are dead or DMs are dead or whatever it is, attraction marketing is dead. That's often it's a marketing standpoint, right? It's a marketing strategy to get you to purchase their way of doing it. And there's nothing wrong with anyone's way. But from being in this business for about 6 years now and trying out all of the ways, I've started to understand and realize which ways are going to be essential for me to scale my business and which ways are ultimately the ones that I feel the most aligned to. And so another thing that I wanted to kind of put in here is I've noticed in the online space recently, there's been a lot of, well, this is the feminine way of doing things and this is the masculine way of doing things. And it's interesting to me that these debates come up because I am very left brain, very left brain dominant. I love analytics. I love data. I find that that's really one of my strengths. But at the same time, I'm a yoga teacher. I love to meditate. I love to do manifestation. And if you're listening to this, I want you to know that the masculine way is still good if you're spiritual. The masculine way, like bro marketing, is still beneficial even to you if it's something that you really want to work towards. And so if you have no idea anything that I'm talking about right now, if you're like, Sara, you're totally losing me, don't worry. We're gonna get into all of this. So the first thing that I wanted to say is, what is lead generation? Right? I think lead generation is like a common marketing term, but for a lot of people who are just starting out in their businesses, a lot of people who are kind of just, doing their own thing, I didn't know what lead generation was. And so if you feel like you need to grow your following, if you want to grow your community, that's essentially lead generation. Lead generation is, how are we bringing new people into your business on a consistent basis? So if I were to tell you that you could, be posting to Instagram 10 pieces of content a week, let's say, for example, and you wouldn't be growing and you still wouldn't be getting new people to come in, it's because there's so much more that goes on the other side of your Instagram account, let's say, for example, that also really, really matters in terms of who's coming into this business, who are the new people who are coming in. And in my experience, I've had some clients who have done just pure attraction marketing where they're literally just posting content. And it's really, really difficult to grow, and especially grow to a place of multiple six, and even seven figures. You definitely are not going to grow that way. But it is really difficult to grow just from that space. And not to mention, it's also really exhausting. It's exhausting to have to constantly try to look for new trends, figure out what's working in the online space, get those new reels out, and make sure that you have your hashtags, like all of your hashtags are accurate. And so there's so many different ways that people work behind the scenes in all of their socials in order to get more people to come into their businesses. And I think it's a common misconception, especially for people who are just starting out, where you look at someone's Instagram profile, let's say, for example, and you see that they have tens of thousands of followers. And so we automatically think, oh, it's just because of their content. It's because their content is awesome. Yes, their content is awesome. And that's one of the reasons why they're able to grow. But at the same time, that person, especially if that person's doing really well in their service-based business, likely has a lot of other strategies that are going on the back end of that. And that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to touch on with this episode today, to help you understand what all of those different things are and how to choose the best ones for you and for your business. So one really obvious one, so I'm going to start out with this whole idea of attraction marketing. And attraction marketing is essentially you get out there, you expose all of your vulnerabilities, you get out with amazing content, and you have people come to you. You have people come to you through hashtags, through reels, through things like that. And this is really helpful. And I think one of the best things about the strategy is it really makes you come into your leadership, step into your own leadership, and really find out what it is that your people really want from you. And so when you're going about the strategy, I feel like this is usually the place where so many people begin with their digital marketing strategies, because it's the one that seems like the most obvious. Okay, well, if I want to get noticed, I have to put out content, right? You see a whole bunch of social media managers talking about how to put out content, how to make sure that content is driving people into your Instagram account, all of that kind of stuff. And it's really helpful. And I think that if you're the type of person who has the time on their hands to create all of that content, and if you really, really enjoy it, if you enjoy creating new content over and over and over again, then that's going to be a strategy that works really well for you. But at the same token, right, on the same kind of wavelength there, it's going to be a strategy that is incomplete. I believe it's incomplete for really driving a business to, like I said, six figures and beyond, which is what so many of my clients and so many of my community members want, right? Because it's not just, I know that the people who are listening to me don't want to be influencers. You don't just want to like be selling other people's products and just getting a whole bunch of people to follow you. It's very different from getting people who are actually going to sign up for your services. Okay. And so if you're doing attraction marketing, you also want to fold in a quote unquote lead generation strategy where you know that you are actively following up with or actively speaking to quite a few people every single day. And so let's say, for example, I usually say that a really great benchmark is if you spend 30 minutes a day just talking to people who are in your niche, talking to people, outreaching, commenting on their posts, liking their posts, starting conversations with them. Okay. 30 minutes a day is the absolute minimum that you want to be spending doing that. And I think that a lot of people, when they hear that, they're like, oh, what do you mean? Like, what does that even mean? And it is a long process, but generally what you want to do is you want to find out where your ideal client is hanging out online. And you want to spend, even if you just schedule it into your calendar every single day, have 30 minutes where you are, actively looking for them. Where are they hiding, right? Are they hiding in a competitor's following? Are they following one of your competitors? Are they following, their favorite authors? Looking for them and then actively starting conversations with them, commenting on their posts. Things like that can go a really, really, really long way. And I know that even just doing that in my business, and because my business is so big now, because it's at multiple six figures, we actually fold in a few different things to get more people to come in. And so, but just by doing that one thing, we get about 1 or 2 clients coming in per month, and that's like high paying clients. And so if you think about even for lower cost products, you can definitely really start a business that way, or really start to grow your business that way. And so that's a really nice basic strategy. That's also, it's a nice subtle strategy. So it's a subtle strategy for a lot of people who have like a lot of discomfort with selling, a lot of discomfort with like really getting upfront and personal with people. And if you don't really love the tech of Facebook ads and you don't want to hire someone to help you with the tech of Facebook ads, then that could be a really nice strategy for you. However, you also want to make sure that it's scalable for the size business that you want to have. And so there's so many different ways to scale that. But that's essentially the basis for it. So attraction marketing, really finding out who it is that aligns to you and your brand and getting out there and starting conversations with them. The second type of marketing strategy that I've personally tried, and this strategy in and of itself allowed me to double my income in 2020. And I often say that I doubled my income in 2020, not just because of a switch in energy. I know that so many people are talking about change my energy. I stepped into my leadership, and those things did happen for me. They did happen. And it really forced me to stop caring about what other people thought of me. And so when I implemented the strategy, which is essentially just DMing people and starting conversations with people over DMs, we very quickly grew the business. We very quickly doubled from like 10K months to 20K months and then 25K months at that point by the end of 2020. And so it was really interesting to have this happen because I had never even heard of the strategy before. No one had ever showed me this, like none of my business coaches had ever showed me this. And when I started implementing it, at first I was like, oh, I don't know about this. But I quickly found out that so many people just wanted someone to be really upfront with them. They just wanted someone to be really honest with them. And they'd go over to my page and they'd be like, hey, I really like all of your stuff. And sometimes the conversions were insane. Like sometimes I would message someone, I'd start a conversation, and the next day they'd become a $5,000 client. Like it was literally that quick with so many of these. And I will always cherish, I think, that part of my business, or like that decision that I made where I was just going to let go of so many misconceptions and so many things that I thought of in my head in terms of the way that I quote unquote had to be doing my marketing. And like I said, over doubled my income in 1 year. And it was really incredible to see, even when some of my clients started implementing that, just how effective it could be for so many of them, especially for people who just hated having like really forced conversations with people. And it was especially something that was super helpful, I would say, on LinkedIn. And so so if you are really great at starting conversations, carrying out conversations, really want to get up front and personal with people, you don't want to beat around the bush. It's so funny because when I teach my clients the strategy, about half of them are like, I could never do that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's not do that one. Let's go with another strategy. And then the other half are like, oh my goodness, I can do that. I love that idea. I love like not beating around the bush. And I love just being really direct and upfront with the people. And it's really incredible once you find the strategy that works for you, that gives you the freedom that you really want in your business. And I feel like I really did experience that with this strategy in 2020. Now, 2021 has been a completely different story. And I would say that we've wrapped up on that strategy and we're moving on from that strategy in my business because it just doesn't really feel aligned to me anymore. It doesn't really feel like the strategy that's going to help me to once again double my income, which is something that I really do want to do over the next few years. And so it's still something that works, and I think it's always going to work. Being really upfront, really honest, really genuine with people is always going to work. They're always going to be the people who want that specific type of strategy. But it just wasn't something that I wanted to do in my business anymore. So, but that is a really viable thing that you can be doing. Starting DMs with people, just messaging people, messaging the right people. You want to make sure that you're finding the right people to message, starting conversations with them, inviting them into your free opt-in for your email list, inviting them into your masterclass, inviting them into wherever it is that you know that you're going to serve them the best. And so those are the first two. The third strategy, which I also feel like is a total genius strategy, I absolutely love this one, is collaborating. Collaborations. And this is something that we've been doing a lot more of, especially in the last quarter of 2021. It's definitely been like a high priority. And it's basically finding people who are doing either the same thing as you or something that's really similar and inviting them into your podcast, inviting them into your Facebook Live, inviting them into Instagram, whatever it is. And this specific strategy is so helpful because you already bypass the know, like, trust factor with the people from someone else's audience, because now you have a human to human connection with someone who they also know, like, and trust. And I can't even explain to you the amount of times that I've gotten clients who are just like, oh, I saw you on so-and-so's podcast, or, oh, like, you registered for this thing, or you showed up in this group. And I really liked what you had to say. And this is also the type of marketing strategy that you can't quite quantify. So you can't quite say, okay, I'm going to show up for 10 podcasts. I'm going to be interviewed for 10 podcasts. And as I interview for 10 podcasts, I'm going to get 10 clients from that. It doesn't work that way. Facebook ads and things like that do. And that's why they're really great for people who are nice and data oriented. But something like guest collaborations just isn't the case. It's more of what do I want to put out in the world? How do I want to feel by doing it? And who is the person who I know is very similar to me, maybe has a very similar audience to me, that is also going to be able to exchange that energy and have a really nice collaboration with me. So that's a really great one, especially if you want to grow and scale and you want to do it in a way that just feels like you're just constantly having conversations with people. I know that I could talk all day. I could talk all day about my story. I could talk all day in terms of making sure that by me speaking to someone else, by me speaking to someone in someone's podcast, that I inspire someone, that I motivate someone. And so that's a really nice strategy for just making sure that you are also making connections in your industries, that you also have, like business besties, so to speak, or people who you can go to ask questions and to really just rely on them, to have a shoulder to lean on too. It's really incredible once you find those people who really get you. And so, like I said, problem with that strategy, once again, is you don't really know, you can't really quantify it, right? And so what I say is that's kind of like a long haul type strategy. If you want to get people into the door really quickly in your business, if you want to grow your business really quickly, that's probably not going to be the one thing that you do that really helps you. However, let's say you're at the point in your business where you're launching your new book or you're launching something new and you want to get in front of so many more audiences and you already have that type of credibility. That's absolutely going to be really great strategy for you to use. And of course, for you to use sparingly throughout the year, even when you're just starting out, it can help a ton, especially if it's something like a podcast, because you know that person is going to have that podcast there forever. So even if it's like a year from now, someone can see like, oh, Sarah's morning routine, cool, I really want to listen to that. You recorded it the year before, but now this person has access to you a year later using someone else's source of communication. And now the last big strategy in terms of lead generation and growing your community is Facebook ads. Not just Facebook ads, but ads in general, right? So there's organic marketing and then there's paid marketing. And I feel like for some reason, paid marketing gets a lot of flack from especially a lot of people who are quote unquote more like feminine based or have feminine approaches in entrepreneurship. And I just want to like cut the BS on that right now, because Facebook ads are such an amazing way to grow. I fully booked out my very first business, yoga and wellness coaching, running Facebook ads. And I wasn't, at that point in time, I wasn't at six figures. I was selling my programs between, I think, 1 and 2K for my high paying clients. And it wasn't that it was something that was super complicated and complex to do. It was actually quite simple for me to run. And it was something that I preferred at that time in my business because I was working a 9 to 5. I didn't want to go into the DMs. I didn't want to go into all this attraction marketing to try to get clients. It was just so much easier for me to put up some Facebook ads, have someone teach me how to do it, and then grow. What happened was I ended up growing my Facebook group. I ended up nurturing my email list. And then I just kind of had, multiple clients coming in, booking discovery calls with me every single month. So it was a really awesome system for me at the time. And then when I moved into business coaching, the first year of business coaching, I grew that business to over 6 figures in its first year. And it was because of Facebook ads. It was, I did the exact same system that I did with my yoga and wellness coaching business. And then it quickly ballooned almost exclusively with ads. And so in 2020, I almost exclusively doubled my income only using organic marketing strategies. In 2018, which was the first year of my business coaching business, it was mainly Facebook ads. And so what I'm trying to say here is that there's no one right way to grow. And at the same time, if you find yourself in a place in your business right now where you're just like, I've been taught this one strategy, but I don't want to do it anymore, give yourself permission to not do it anymore. Give yourself permission to say, okay, well, this worked for me up until this specific point. I'm really glad that I did it, but now I really want to find a strategy that gives me more time, or I really want to find a strategy that makes me feel more connected to my audience. Whatever it is that you're searching for, there's going to be a way for you to build your audience, the way for you to quote unquote generate new leads that feels really aligned to you. And of course, these are 4 different things that I spoke about. But even within these 4 different things that I spoke about, there's so many different ways to do each one. There's so many different ways to set up Facebook ads. There's so many different ways to do DMs. There's so many different ways to do attraction marketing, for example, right? And so if you are completely new, then what you also want to ask yourself is, well, which one of these resonates with me the most? Which one of these feels like it's going to be the thing that makes things feel so much easier for me, but at the same time really allows me to do the work that I really want to do? And when I was in my 9 to 5, it was very easily Facebook ads, because for me, it was just like, okay, I just plug these things in. I can work my 9 to 5 and I can bring people into my community on a consistent basis. If you don't want to use your Facebook profile, for example, your personal profile for business, that's also okay. I know that there are some people who are working on that. That's personally not something that I love to do, just because I love to keep some things personal and some things business. And I totally get that, it's a really helpful thing for some people, but it never felt aligned to me. So I've never done it. Right. And so I think what's really important once you're looking at this and when you're looking at what you want to do to grow is ask yourself, how do I ultimately want to grow my business? What ultimately feels like the easiest thing for me? And how can I find myself a mentor if I need to implement a specific strategy and I'm having trouble with it? How can I find a specific mentor who's going to lead me through the strategy that I really want to do, right? Because it's really helpful and it's really important to find someone who knows how to do things the way that you really want to do them, okay? And most importantly, find a mentor that you obviously feel really aligned to as well, because this is ultimately one of the reasons why I've done so many different lead generation strategies, where I'm constantly just like, okay, enough with this one. Now we're going to go to another one, because every time that I learn something new, I can then teach it to my clients. So I've done Facebook ads with clients. I've done DMs with clients. I've done attraction marketing with clients. And I think the beautiful thing is I'm not putting everyone into a box, right? So not everyone's going to come in and be like, every single person who comes into my program is going to follow this exact thing. What they get instead is, these are a few things that I found that work really, really well, especially within the coaching space and within this niche. Now you get to choose out of these things which one feels the best for you, and then I'm going to help you implement it. And that's why I think ultimately coaching is so effective and it can help you so much because it's not a cookie cutter thing. It's not just like a self-guided course where someone brings you through the exact same funnel that they bring another 1,000 people through, right? You get something that's so much more curated to you, to the time that you have, to what feels in alignment with you, and to ultimately how you want to grow your business. And so I'm going to stop here because I feel like this has been a lot of information. This has definitely been more of a strategically focused podcast episode, but let me know if this resonated with you. If you've ever felt like you had to do things one specific way because you were only taught one way, let me tell you right now that you don't need to do things that way. You absolutely don't need to do things that way. And another really, really helpful thing that I've realized over the past few years of running this business and now running it in multiple six figures is sometimes a change in strategy and the change in the way that you do things makes all of the difference. It's not necessarily your energy. It's not necessarily your mindset. Sometimes you could have the best energy and the best mindset and know exactly what you're doing to help your people. But then all of a sudden one day you find this new strategy, a Facebook ad pops up, and maybe this is energetic, right? But a Facebook ad pops up, or someone pops into your DMs and then they show you a completely new way of doing business. And that strategy is what allows you to double your income. Because that strategy is something that just like, ooh, this is scalable for me. This works for me. This works for my unique strengths. And so if you haven't found that yet, don't give up. I would say continue to look, continue to invest, continue to seek the one way that you're going to grow your business that feels really, really amazing to you, because I can guarantee you that it's out there. And at the same time, it might not be the exact same way to grow your business, that you grow your business year after year after year. Like me, sometimes I have to, shut the door on one specific strategy or one specific way of doing things and open up another one. But in doing so, I always double my income in the process, which is also really, really cool. So don't be afraid of, one, trying new strategies when you are new, and making sure that you get the right one for you, making sure that after trying things out and after investing in different people and finding out different ways of doing things, you find the way that really sticks for you and that really, really works for you. And two, don't be afraid of putting something to bed that's worked for you really, really well in the past if it is not a part of your up level, if it's not a part of the next level of your calling. Even if it's making you a lot of money now, it's totally okay for you to put it to bed, because it is only going to hold you back from that next level. And there's another strategy waiting for you on that next level as well. So I've loved doing this episode for you. Let me know how you liked it. If you could leave a 5-star review, it would mean the world to me. You can also find me at Sara without an H, JLoureiro on Instagram, or you can find all of the show notes on my website, sarajloureiro.com. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show. If you enjoy our show and would like the show notes and free goodies about how to grow your online coaching business, head over to sarajloureiro.com for more information. We hope you'll tune in next time.